Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Craft Parenting Podcast, a podcast about two Cincinnati craft beer lovers with a parenting problem. This is another bonus episode. This is episode 61.5, and we are going to talk about something personal, actually.
I mean, I don't know if I feel comfortable with disclosing this personal information in podcast form.
Then why are we doing it?
It was a joke.
Oh.
These are jokes.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We'll get to that news in a minute. But my name is Joe Ludwig, and with me is my lovely wife and co-host, Caroline. How's it going, Caroline?
Well, we're hanging out for the weekend because it's a long weekend, and someone left all of their prescription allergy medication at home and is going to start crashing off of steroids here in a few hours. So good luck. And then I'm going to get back on steroids again, and it's going to be super fun. All of the fun.
All right, then. Happy Memorial Day, or belated Memorial Day, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Hope everyone had a great weekend.
Took some time to pause and reflect on the true meaning behind Memorial Day weekend, which is honoring those who served till they could not serve anymore.
And they paid the ultimate price for serving. And this is not, I think we talked about this previously, but hot take.
Snap.
This is not about military members who are currently serving, although it kind of moved to that. But if you are a military member currently serving, you get Veterans Day in the U.S.
Yes, we have a
November.
friend who is a veteran and is very adamant if you attempt to thank him at all for anything Memorial Day weekend, he'll be like, no, stop that. My day is in November. These are for my buddies that aren't here anymore.
Yeah.
He is very, very adamant for good reason. The same person who came, by Clara, she poked her head through the window and then went upstairs. The same person who showed up to Easter late because he had to go out and get a new flag right then and there because the one at Oma's house was not up to par. I would have just told him to grab the flag from our flagpole and I will buy a new flag. It'll take way less time than whatever it is that you're about to do.
Well, he's very particular, and I don't know what condition our flag is in.
It is in good condition because I checked it 2 days ago.
Like you took it down?
No, I visually inspected it from the ground because our flagpole isn't so high up that I can't not tell. Because if it wasn't in good condition, it was going to be taken down before this weekend. You make sure you have a good flag up for Memorial Day. Though I did forget to put it down at half staff. Unless if like someone reminds me while I am outside.
Yeah, we're a horrible flag.
Our flag just stays at full
people.
staff. Now, if you want me to do a flag ceremony, I can do that 7 different ways till Sunday, and they will do varying levels of wow and amaze you, and they will all be very technical. But in regards to maintaining my own flagpole, I make sure that the flag is in good condition, and if it's not, I take it down. And sometimes I remember to put it at half staff. Most of the time I don't. And sometimes I just completely forget to take it out of half staff.
But we have another great bonus episode.
We do. I did a thing.
Yeah, but let's talk about this beer first, because this is a very special beer for a very special occasion. So this is a beer from Fibonacci.
That the guys and gals at Shift Beers really enjoyed.
Yeah, so this is leftover from our time going on Shift Beers. You, Caroline, went to Fibonacci.
I did.
And you got 2 of everything. So this is bottle number 2. And we drank bottle number 1 during our time on Shift Beers. This is brewed by Fibonacci Brewing. It's a barrel-aged Mallard maple cinnamon.
It's a bourbon barrel aged.
And then it says bourbon barrel-aged pastry stout with maple and cinnamon.
It slaps. It bangs. It's bussin' no cap.
Is that what the kids say?
I think so.
So this is 11.8% alcohol.
I try to stay hip and with it, but don't say that to the kids or they're going to look at you like you have 4 heads, which is slightly better than them looking at you like you have 6 heads when you ask them for the 411 or the dish or what's the scoop. And they're like, spill the tea. I am saying spill the tea. And then they're like, oh. And then you feel really, really old. And that was like 5 years ago. So I'm like super old now.
Is this when you had a Girl Scout troop?
No, it was when I did a lot of stuff with Girl Scouts. It was not with my personal Girl Scout troop.
Okay.
They made me feel old for different reasons. One of which was because I have a Christmas CD that I was playing on the way to one of our campouts, and the oldest girl that was in our troop, because she was an older sister of another girl that was in our troop, was in my car with a few other Girl Scouts. And towards the end of the Christmas CD, they sing Auld Lang Syne, and they say, like, Happy Christmas 2002 in the song. Wait, was it? Yes. One of the CDs that I have. Now I'm wondering if it was the VeggieTale Punk Rock CD.
VeggieTale Punk Rock?
Yes, it is a very good CD. So, anyways, the song that we're listening to mentions...
What's a CD?
Mentions the year 2002, and this girl pipes up with, "That's the year I was born."
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I bought this CD in like 2003. So I have lots of things that are way older than you. This is crazy.
What about Lily and Elliot? They were born in 2019 and 2021.
I know. I'm pretty sure I have risotto in our house that is older than they are. We do have some items in our pantry that are older than our children. And Lily's getting close to 3.
Yeah.
So
This is
delicious. Again, slaps, banging, bussin', no cap. Triple bussin'? Is that a thing?
quadruple. Quintuple. Is that 5?
That's too much.
Too
That's
much.
Too much. That's too much. Can't take the cuteness. That's too much.
So it's
Oh my
11.
goodness, I'm pretty sure that's a Vine. We're so old.
So the beer.
The beer is delicious, and I am currently having an existential life crisis, and I'm only 30.
It's 11.8%, 13 IBU. It's batch number 2. And what is this?
It gives you the bottle number.
It's bottle number 10.
Oh, snap. This is really good.
They are very scientific over at Fibonacci.
I mean, with a name like Fibonacci, you have to be scientific.
This is really, really good.
It is so good.
Okay, so you have a personal achievement that you would like to shout to the world.
I do. I am officially Caroline Ludwig, CPM, Certified Project Manager.
Oh, snap.
I know things like the critical path
Oh.
and how to do budgets and how to crash a project, which does not mean terminating the project. It means getting it done in a shorter period of time.
Oh.
I know fancy things now.
That seems very fancy.
It is. It's all new terminology. Some of it is new concepts, but a lot of it was just putting keywords onto things that I was already doing.
Buzzwords.
Yeah.
You know the buzzwords.
I do know the buzzwords. Though when I got my new job, I heard Synergy used in a meeting, and I was like, what? This actually happens in a serious conversation?
Yes.
Okay, I need to learn these things. We all good now, though.
Well, we have corporate meeting bingo.
Yeah, I should probably start doing that. Steroid Caroline will start doing that. Now, these are, so for the record, it's prescribed for my allergies. I cannot lift a train yet, but I'm working on it. One of my coworkers said, "Oh, sweet, that means we should go work out during lunch now so you can get ripped."
Okay.
And I'm like, maybe. We'll talk.
These are like temporary steroids.
Yes, they are. Until the trees stop trying to make more trees in my sinuses.
That's a good way to put it.
It is the most, yes.
All right. So tell everyone what school you went to, first of all, and then tell us the schedule of what you had to do.
Well, so I'm a manufacturing engineer by trade, and I deal with a lot of different projects, from small scale projects to very large scale projects. And in trying to looking for a new job, I was trying to think of new roles that I would want to go into. And one of them was a project manager, because I was like, oh, I already do a lot of that stuff. I really like doing that stuff, and I could be really good at it.
Yeah.
So I started interviewing for those types of jobs. And a lot of things that constantly kept coming up was, do you have your PMP, which is are you a program manager professional? Yes, that is what that stands for.
And this is when you take the test.
Yes, that is when you take the test and you are certified by the PMI, which is the Program Management Institute.
Ah.
And I said, no, but I'm willing to learn or get certified if you help me out. And most companies said they were only looking at people that already had the certification, even though the certification hasn't been like big for a while, which is frustrating. But I found a manufacturing engineering role that I was super into, and I got it. And as part of my improvement plan, I was like, hey, I'm like interested in getting this certification and maybe turning it into like an actual like PMP accredited, like I have the fancy title. Yeah, because I passed the test and kept up with all my credit hours and whatever. And the company was like super into, yes, we would love having that, because it would be great if we had someone on our team who understood the lingo, who knew more about the whole scale of the project, and would be able to help us get through these projects and then advocate for us in a language that that the people that we're trying to communicate with understand when stuff starts slipping behind. So they said, find his class, figure out how much it's going to cost, and make your case. So I started looking around. I found a few online options that were like just straight online, and decided that, one, I do better learning in person. I only had like 2 online classes in college, and I passed them. I learned things, did not learn as much as I did in an in-person class. 2, with 2 small children in the house who don't like going to bed before 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and then I fall asleep at 8:30 or 9, I wasn't going to have a lot of time to do stuff after work, because it'd be get home, take care of the kids, put the kids to bed, and then I would fall asleep. And so then I found an in-person class that was like down the street from our house and at a university that is well accredited and well known, and not a giant rivalry with the place where I got my bachelor's degree. So it was fine. It was fine, Joe.
And this is when I call you Benedict Caroline.
This is when you call me Benedict Caroline. So
which university was this?
I went to the Xavier University Leadership Center, which is who I took the class through. So UC has a communiversity, which is similar. So it's continuing education for people who have graduated from college. UC Communiversity kind of does a lot more with like everybody. I think Xavier Center more focuses on business professionals who have a degree. Because like at UC, I can learn about horticulture and painting and home brewing, because I took a home brewing class through UC's Communiversity.
2 brewing classes, right?
I did.
One was
1 day and one was like 8 days.
One was the guy from Street Side, right?
So yeah, the guy from Street Side was like maybe it was like a 4 to 6 day class.
Yeah.
And then the other one was with Alan from Listerman, and that was a 1 day class.
Yeah.
So I applied, put in a purchase rec at my company to say, hey, pay for this training, please. And they approved it. So I got to go hang out at Xavier 6 days over 6 weeks and
It was a really weird schedule.
It was a very weird schedule.
It was like 2 days this week.
It was 2 days on. So it was Monday, Wednesday, off for a week.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, because there was something happening on Wednesday where we couldn't be at the university on Wednesday, off for a week, and then Monday, Wednesday. So it was 6 classes in 5 weeks. I said 6 weeks because I'm like, there's a week afterwards that we just didn't do anything. And at the end of those 6 days, you are a certified project manager. And the way they split it up was into modules. So the first week was module 1. So we learned a lot of lingo and a little bit of stuff on day 1. And day 2, we reapplied some of our lingo and learned more how to like start doing things. And then we had homework. And so then I had to do the homework.
Yeah, you did.
Which I turned in late because I was not expecting Elliot to get a fever and be at Children's Hospital
on Mother's Day.
On Mother's Day.
Read all about that on our blog, on our website.
Yeah. I was expecting to be in bed or at the dining room table furiously typing out my homework on the computer.
Some things never change.
Some things never change. But I did turn in my homework soon thereafter. I think I turned it in like Monday night or Tuesday night. And we learned a whole lot that Monday, Tuesday, back-to-back class. And then I had more homework that I did turn in a more timely fashion until I forgot to do half the homework because it was in a different document style. But then I learned that I was one of 3 people that actually turned in the module 2 homework. So then I felt a lot better.
So how many people were in your class?
So in my class, there were 8 students. The class before mine had 22 students. So it varies. I'm going to say that 22 is their maximum because I could have potentially gotten into their earlier class, but it was already booked up.
Okay.
And it was people from all different kinds of career paths. Most people were in more project manager type roles. Some of them were new to their roles. Some of them had been in their roles for a little bit, but the company wanted to do more with their program. So they wanted to get somebody certified. So we had like a variety of examples. 2 of the people actually worked at the university. And so since they work at the university, they can take classes for a reduced price. And they're like, sweet, this sounds like fun. This can help me out. So they took the class. So it's just a wide variety of projects that we could kind of use as examples. Because we would go over a concept and somebody would have a question. And so then she'd point to somebody else and say, okay, your project, let's go over it really fast and put it in this example. And so then we would be using someone else's project as an example for the question. And it made things a lot more clear to understand. Because like my project was all design based and like making a physical, tangible product. Another girl was in HR. So all her stuff was like figuring out how to do employee satisfaction surveys. And
that's super fun.
Super fun. She's like, yeah, in our project management group, we have yearly projects where like every July 1st, this project starts up and it gets closed out like 6 months later because it's all of our year-end performance reviews. And then July 1st, the next year, the project starts right back up again. And they'll tweak it a little bit based on how it went the year before. And then there were people that were also in like more manufacturing type jobs, but more in like management-y kind of roles, like more like higher level in the company, like trying to figure out how to move the big pieces around to get the company to grow a lot in the future.
Okay.
So, and then as like we're going through this class, I'm sitting in on meetings at work where there's a project manager who is leading these projects, who is talking about stuff, and like 2 classes in, I'm like, oh, hey, all of the stuff that he's saying makes sense now because I understand the lingo that he's using and I can decode it and like help my coworkers understand, okay, yeah, this is what he said, but this is what he was really saying.
You're a translator.
I am a translator. And I mean, so part of my job as a manufacturing engineer, I describe it as being an ambassador. So, or a translator, because my goal is to get design engineering and production on the same page. So design engineers know how to speak in design engineer language, but they don't necessarily know how to talk to a production worker to make them understand what it is that they're doing. So I help be the decoder ring so production understands all this fancy stuff that the design engineer just said.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also the problem solver if there's some kind of issue. So if the design engineer designs something that production can't make, I have to determine, is it because we don't have the right tooling? Is it because something might need to be tweaked in the design? How is it physically possible for us to make this thing if we make changes? But then determine what those changes are going to be. And then potentially go back to the design engineer and be like, hey, can we make some tweaks? What if we did X and Y instead of Z and Q? Do you think that would help us out a lot in production? Is that something that we can feasibly do? And if not, please tell me why, and then I'll help production with making this easier for them some other way. So it's just, I always have a decoder ring on me. It's just a matter of what it is that I'm decoding from and to. I'm like Google Translate. You tell me something and I can tell you how to say it 20 different ways till Sunday. Is that a thing? Is that a saying? What's that saying about Sunday?
I don't even know.
So yeah, it was really fun. I got to learn all about the differences between agile and waterfall projects, which is adaptive and predictive.
Love agile. We talk about that all the time.
So
are you a Scrum Master?
I am not, but I could be a certified Scrum Master.
Oh boy.
If that was a path that I wanted to take. A lot of the projects that we do are predictive projects, so that's a Scrum Master would not be involved with that. So, because with a predictive project, you know what it is that you want at the end, and you pretty much know how you're going to get there. With an adaptive project, so like the example that she used was you're building a building. You know how many floors you're going to need, what your square footage is going to be, like what your elevator size is going to be, your rough room layouts, like you know what that all is going to be before you start laying your foundation. With an agile project, that's more like I'm developing an app or an iPhone where
it's more for IT.
It's definitely more IT based.
Product.
It's very much product focused, and I don't know what exactly I want, but I kind of know what I want and I kind of know when I want it. And here's some money, you figure it out. So with that, you say, so like if I'm making an app, I'm going to say, what are all of the features that I want in the app? And what are the things that I have to have? What are the things that it should have? What are things that would be nice to have? And what are things that like we are probably not going to be any kind of feasible for our budget at the moment? And you attack those must-haves first. And you kind of go down the list as it makes sense with your project. And every 3 weeks, you go back to your list. So you make a plan at the start of every 3 weeks. This is what I'm going to do. Those 3 weeks are up.
I mean, at our company, they have daily meetings.
You do have, so we're going to get there. So you have your plan of, okay, I have a minimum viable product. So this is what I have to have in order to release it. And then I have different kind of like stages with where I'm fine with releasing the product as it is. So like the iPhone, that like totally broke the market.
Neither of us have.
I have one for work now. But for the iPhone, the minimum viable product was actually the iPad.
Interesting.
No, wait. Is it the iPad or was it the iPhone? Which one came first?
I think the iPhone came first.
The iPhone was the minimal viable product for the iPad. Because the iPhone was them trying to get to the iPad.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's
smaller.
So it's figuring out what I can release. And it can change drastically. And you have to think of who are the people that are interested in your project. And you have to always remember that one of them is your competitors. Because you want to know what they're doing and they want to know what you're doing. And if they release, so let's say that they release the
Windows Phone.
Yeah, so like Windows Phone releases a month before you were going to release the iPhone. Well, now my product isn't as good as it might not be as flashy. Or now maybe I want to postpone another 2 weeks or 3 weeks so I can add in a few more key features to now make my thing more desirable than the thing that's already in the market. So figure out how you want to handle a very rapidly changing market. So you figure out what your minimum viable product is. You figure out what all of the features are that you want or you think that you're going to want, and know that you can add or like you can move features around as far as priority. You can add features, you can take features away based on how the project's going. Everything's constantly changing. Your biggest constraint is your budget, because you just say, I have X amount of money to spend. Once that money's out, then we'll figure out what we're going to do. Whether we're going to throw more money at it to keep going because now this is a viable thing, or we're just going to be like, nope, we're done. So you meet up every 3 weeks, and at the start of your 3 weeks, you say, this is my plan. These are the 4 items that we're going to tackle this week, or these 3 weeks. And you don't change anything with your plan during those 3 weeks. So you just attack those 4 specific items. You could get all those items done, but you don't add anything else. You just focus on those 4 things. And then when those 3 weeks are up, you reconvene. You say, okay, hey, customer, this is what I have so far. This is what it looks like. This is what we've learned. This is what we want to work on next. And you do it all over again with your new list of 4 things that you want to work on. And so you're having meetings every day. Your team is very much the same group of people all the time. In a predictive project, your team constantly changes. People come in and they come out as they're needed. You have a subject matter expert that might only be there for a week, and then they're gone, and you never see them again. With an agile project, it's more the same core team is always working on the same stuff all the time. And that's where you have the Scrum Master, because the Scrum Master is the one who knows a little bit about what everybody's doing, is in charge of your daily meetings where it's tell me what you did, tell me what you're going to do, tell me if you have any issues. But we're not going to solve any of those issues in this meeting. The problem is people start digging into, how can I solve this issue in this 10-minute meeting? And the answer needs to be no. Julie over here has some help for you. Mm-hmm. Schedule some time with Julie later today. So your Scrum Master is kind of the one that pulls all the strings, but everybody is still a very integral part of the team. And it's instead of having a subject matter expert that comes in and then goes, more likely you're going to train people on your team to then become that subject matter expert that you need. So your team knows almost everything that they need to know. We didn't talk about agile projects a whole lot. Most of us all had predictive projects to deal with. We weren't dealing with as many agile projects. But now I think of quality issues as an agile project, because it is. So it's, hey, we had this part with a major defect. Let's start investigating into why this is a defect. Like how it's a defect, why we think it's happening, and then what do we want to change to try to fix it. And we're only going to focus on 2 things for like a week or whatever it is, whatever our time frame is. 3 weeks is way too long when you're dealing with a quality issue that you have to fix now. So it's more like a day or 2. We're going to deal with it this way, see what our fallout is, turn around, see how that helped or didn't help, and then try something else if it didn't help enough. And then wait a little bit more time to see if that actually did anything and do it all over again. It's fun. I mean, it actually is fun. Like, I like problem solving.
Yeah.
I like trying to figure out why is this thing being so frustrating, though sometimes it is frustrating. So the goal is to not pull your hair out. And to remember that work is work and home is home, and you can't do anything about work when you're at home. So you can shoot off some emails, but stressing over it's not going to help.
Unless you work from home.
I mean, your office is work. Your office is not work.
I guess so. Unless your office is half playroom, half office.
It's an office. It's a playroom. It's a laundry room. It's a storage room. Your office is very adaptable.
But I know Agile because of product marketing and the products that I don't do, but my colleagues do is specifically in IT.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I know Agile. And we have Agile snack and learns. They're not lunch and learns. They're snack and learns.
Yeah, because lunch would be too long. You got to be quick. It's an Agile project. You got to be fast. You got to be quick on your feet.
No, it's not an Agile project.
I know.
It's them talking.
These are jokes.
It's them presenting ways that we can all be agile, but it doesn't affect me because I'm not I'm in marketing, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So I hope it helps. It seems like it will. It seems like you know your stuff. You know the lingo.
I do know the lingo. And I'm super excited because last week when I was talking to my manager, I was like, hey, yes, class is going really good. I'm learning a lot of fun stuff. And I'm really looking forward to how I can help bring some of this knowledge to the team to help us with the projects that we're currently working on. And she was like, yeah, and BT Dubs, I'm going to try to get you on a bunch of the projects here that you're not currently doing anything with. Like our big scale whole company projects that we have going on, getting more involved in those. And I'm super down for that. So I'm excited. So I'm an only child. I like to think that I'm pretty smart. I know what I'm talking about most of the time, and I'll tell you if I don't know what I'm talking about usually. But so I'm talking to people in my class about some of the issues that we're having at work or some of the stuff that we're working on, and they're like, whoa, you actually use this stuff and know this stuff and are really smart. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. And then I'm like, Joe's going to tell me that my head doesn't fit through the door in the house anymore.
I mean, yeah, you do know stuff. I'm not going to deny that.
I do know things.
Yeah.
And I try to apply them to the best of my ability and try to help people from doing stupid things without telling them directly that they are doing stupid things.
Now that's the trick, isn't it?
It is the trick.
That's the secret. That's it.
You got to be diplomatic. You can't be like, hey, Joe, why'd you screw this thing up? It's super terrible. It's, hey, Joe, I was looking over this paper and I'm trying to think of a thing that this is a very unrealistic scenario because there are 3 times that I have caught mistakes in things that you have written. I'd be like, hey, I was reading this paper and I noticed this paragraph and it didn't something about it just didn't quite jive right with me. Can you look at this with me and see if you see anything? And you work on it together, even if you already know what the answer is. I have to do it with co-ops all the time. I'm trying to remember what my best example. Here's what it was. We were using a piece of equipment at work, and we had a co-op. He's coming back next semester. He's a good kid. I mean, I say kid like he's not an adult, but he's a kid. And we're working on this piece of equipment. I stopped it halfway through the cycle, started it back up again. The screen isn't showing exactly what it's supposed to if the machine is running, but like you can hear that the machine is running. It's just because it's like, oh, you opened the door, you closed the door. It says that the door is still open, but it's counting down because the door isn't open. And you can hear the machine working. And he looks at me and says, is the machine running right now? And I'm like, yeah. Can't you hear it? Oh, I guess I can. Okay, yeah, we're good. And like not 20 minutes before that, he was telling me that he should be making $50 an hour as a co-op.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So and then he does stuff like that. And I'm like, so literally I told him, this is why we don't pay you $50 an hour. Like you say stuff like this. And I never mathed out how much what that was a year. Cause I was like, it's a high number, whatevs. Our plant manager, I was telling him the story of, we have a co-op who says he should be making $50 an hour. And he's like, hold up a second. How much a year is that? And it's over $100,000 a year as a co-op in engineering. And I'm like, you are not at the right company for that, bud. You might not be in the right engineering industry for that as a co-op. Like, sure, when you're more well-established in your career, maybe if you're at the right company.
Not as a co-op.
But no, not as a co-op. And he's like, well, there are some places where they're making $50 an hour. And I'm like, yeah, but is that in an oil field where it's like super dangerous work? Yeah. Like, yeah. There's a reason why those people make buku loads of money. Because the job is very dangerous and or very volatile. You have a job today, but you might not tomorrow. So, gotta be careful about that.
All right. So, I'm out of beer. You're still sipping on yours, but
It's so good.
It is very tasty. I drank mine right up.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you wanted to say about your experience at Xavier University?
So the last thing is that the food was really, really good. The breakfast was okay. It was continental breakfast, and continental breakfast is always okay no matter what you do. But the lunches, so like the second day, we had urban crusted salmon as our meal.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this? All of the food was delicious. I had to remind myself to stop starting off my conversations with the class about how good the food was. Because I was like, the food's really good. And also, I'm learning all of this really awesome stuff. Because I would like try to make the food like short and then go into all the stuff that I'm learning. Be like, you're just talking about the food. And I'm like, I talked about the food for 10 seconds. And now I'm telling you all the stuff that I'm learning. And the professor was fantastic. She was really great at helping us all understand the concepts. We had one woman that was asking questions all the time. And she's like, I'm so sorry for asking a question. It's probably stupid. And we're like, no, ask your question. We want to make sure that we all get this. And maybe there's a way that I can word this instead of the way the professor's wording it, that you understand it better. Or maybe the professor thinks of a different way to set this up. And then we better understand the concept too. So it helps us all. And that's what I really liked about having an in-person class, was the collaboration that we had between all of the people. And because it was all different projects. No two people were working on anything that was similar. And all of us had totally different backgrounds and were at different places in our careers. So we had a whole wealth of knowledge in all the people that were in the class. So it was great. I really liked it. Would recommend. Look in your career field to see what kind of like certificates or extended trainings you could do that would help you out. Don't like just take a training to take a training, because then that becomes like semi-detrimental when people look at your resume. Like I had co-ops that we interviewed that were like, oh, sweet, you're getting a math minor. Why are you getting a math minor? And all of them literally said, well, it's really easy to get a math minor with our engineering classes because you only have to take 2 extra classes in order to get a math minor. It's like, oh, so you're not going to use it for anything? Then like, why bother? It doesn't necessarily give you an incentive as far as like making more money if you just like get a bunch of trainings. You have to think about how you're going to use it to advance your career and how you can use it to help the company where you're at. Because if you're just like, oh, I got my MBA. And I'm like, hey, I got my MBA company. Like, you going to pay me more money now because I got my MBA? What are you going to do with that MBA that's going to benefit us? And if you can answer that question, that's how you can have your conversation about making more money. If you can't answer that question other than, well, I have an MBA now and that's supposed to be a good thing, that's not necessarily the right way to approach it. well, now that I have my MBA, I have all of these analytical tools in my back pocket. I can help with the growth of the company as a whole. I don't know. I don't have an MBA. But you have to think about it of how you're helping them in addition to helping yourself. And that's how you can have that conversation versus, oh, I got 10 different certificates that only 2 of them really apply to me.
Well, the thing also about certification is that you have to keep up.
I don't have to keep anything up with this.
If you take the test, though.
If I take the test, if I become a PMP, program management professional, I have to do continuous education. So I have to do something like 30-something hours of continuous learning every 3 years. So that'll be like little classes here and there to get my whatever number of hours it is every 3 years to keep that on my title.
Similar to like a teacher.
Similar to like
nurse.
Teaching or nursing or a lot of medical fields. So you can keep up with everything that's new. Because a lot of stuff has changed in the last 2 years as well. They came out with a new revision of the PMBOK, Project Management Body of Knowledge. It's a book. They came out with a new version of it. So just like a textbook, some stuff has changed.
Well, yeah, so you keep buying it and they keep making money.
Hey, but if I'm registered as a member of PMI, which I am, I get a copy for free, digital.
Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
No, I'm just really glad that I got it, and I'm glad that my company helped support me through it. And I'm looking forward to what I am going to do with it to help grow my company and my career.
This is all very exciting.
This beer slaps.
Very
Again.
good beer. Good job, Fibonacci.
We need to go out there more often. The kids are definitely old enough for petting zoo stuff now. So we need to go this summer.
Yeah, I was going to say earlier, we've been to Fibonacci once together.
Yes, it was a long while ago.
It's when they first opened.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we've maybe been there 2 or 3 times, but maybe we've only really been there once or twice together.
It was when they first opened. They definitely did not have the bed and breakfast.
They didn't have the Airbnbs. They didn't have the goats. They didn't have the bees.
No, they didn't have any of that.
Nope.
And it was just this little room.
It's just this tiny little house that they converted into a brewery.
Is that still the brewery?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it
Brewery's in the basement.
Is that the tap room? Just that little room still?
Yeah.
And then they have the outside.
And then they have the outside, and they have a giant little park pavilion kind of deal.
Okay. Yeah, I'm interested to go back and
And it's fenced in so we can bring the kids and they can kind of run.
Yeah, and the parking situation.
Probably have to park on the street.
Yeah, because I remember they had a parking lot.
They have a very tiny parking lot.
It was very tiny.
Would not guarantee that there is parking in that parking lot for your car.
Yeah, I bet they're bigger now.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, I think we went like when they first opened.
I swear we sat inside one day and outside a different day.
No,
but
we went with Matt.
Ah, that also would make sense.
Because his mom lived like 5
really
minutes,
close.
5 minutes away. But and it's a science thing, math thing, Fibonacci.
Yes, the Fibonacci number sequence.
You were trying to explain it to me, and I'm just like, whoosh, I'm a writer, dude. I'm not gonna understand that.
Yeah.
But Mac just, he's very passionate about math and science, and he just keeps trying to explain it. And I'm like, dude, I like words.
I feel like at one point, like you got annoyed with me and you told me to go engineer something. And like 2 weeks later, I got annoyed with you for something. And I was like, just go write something. Like we know our lanes. We attempt to stick in our lanes. We know when we are trying to get into our significant other's lanes. And we're like, hey, just go do the thing that you're good at. Let me do this thing right here. Because like love and stuff.
We're going to wrap things up. You can follow us on all the social medias at Craft Parenting Podcast. Follow us on all the social medias.
We have a website.
We have a website. We blog.
We have an email. We have a P.O. box. Send us Sanity craft supplies.
And if you want to follow me personally, you can follow me at Craft Parenting Joe on Instagram.
And I am at Caroline Creates Crafts. I'm going to go create some crafts.
All right, sounds good. And
like that dog leash that I made today because we forgot ours at home. Whoops.
All right. And with that, I'm Joe.
And I'm Caroline.
See you next time on the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Peace. ASMR.
That's creepy.
On today's episode of ASMR with the Ludwigs.
Stop that. It's so freaky.